Welcome to Tembusu College 4th CSC debate come Q&A session. Today we're going to have a total of 2 segments, each lasting 45 minutes long. The first segment will consist of the debate and Q&A session between the 2 contesting vice presidents for the 4th CSC, and the second segment would include questions and answers for the general EXCO of the 4th CSC, candidates for the general 4th EXCO. Right, so without further ado, let us start. Tonight we have with us the 2 candidate presidents for vice president. We have Goh Jiansheng Jensen and Nafis Ahmed. So this is how the segment will work. We're going to start off with an opening statement by each of these candidates, followed by a debate in between the 2 candidates, and we'll round it up with Q&A sessions from the audience, from people who are online, and anyone else who's in the room right here or want to join us. So let's start. Jensen, how about you give us your opening statement?
Hi, I'm running for the position of Vice President. If you guys do not already know, I've posted the reasons why I wanted to run on Facebook and everything already. Just to reiterate those points one more time, I am running because I wish to bring about change, to bring about a vision, my vision, that the Tembusians of today will be able to look back at this place and say that I'm proud to be part of this family. It's about identity and it's about bringing responsible residency to my fellow Tembusians. Today I stand here as the sole opposition to the current running party. Out of all the seats, I'm the only seat being contested, and I'm contesting my opponent over here. And why do I still continue to run? As much as I have stated, I believe in the importance of running a proper system. I'm running because I believe that in every form of governance, there must always be a voice of opposition. And today I'm presenting myself as your voice of opposition so as to keep things in check, so as to provide a reality of sorts to the current party. As Vice President, I believe it's about a lot of internal management. What I stand for is progress and responsibility. If voted in, my focuses will be on the progress and responsibility of the members of the CSC. I will be looking to implement systems to put these things into check. Things such as backdating. Sorry, not backdating. That's just what I call it. Certain systems that will allow us to keep track of the progress and provide degrees of transparency to the work, and to make sure that there is a fair and even workload distribution within the CSC. I also seek to provide an alternative voice. As stated earlier, all the current members are from the same party. Okay, between me and my opponent, what are our differences? He's in year 3 and I'm in year 1. What I represent is time and energy. I have one advantage sole advantage over him. He has credentials, he has a resume, house captain of Tancho, and I believe the debate team. Whereas for me, I'm in year 1, and I'm a clean slate. And I believe that is my advantage. That I have time, and that I have energy. Any project that I choose to take up within this 1 year, if unable to be able to complete it, I have 2 more years, possibly, to be able to see it through within Tembusu College.
Would that be all?
That's all.
All right, thank you, Jensen. Now let us hear from the contesting candidate, Nafis Ahmed. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nafis. I'm running for the position of Vice President in the CSC. So I just want to start off with probably telling you why exactly I'm doing this, because as Jensen has said, I'm year 3, and I think most year 3s would agree that this is a heavy responsibility for anyone to take up, right? Basically, I've been staying in this college for 2 years now. It has become more than just another hostel for me. It's become home. And it's getting to the point where everything in Tembusu becomes increasingly very familiar, and you get used to it, just like your home. I've grown used to this place because I love the fact that over here, students are allowed to explore and develop their ideas. Our professors are friendly, engaging, and they're very encouraging. And I met some of my most insane and best friends I have in my last 2 years here. So it holds a lot of memories for me, and it holds a lot of love for me. So when 3 weeks back, Angus asked me, do you want to join me in the CSC? He will be president and I'll be his vice president. I think the usual questions came to my mind. Can I cope? And the other thing also that came to my mind is that, have I contributed enough to Tembusu? And honestly, the answer to me at that point of time was no. After everything I felt Tembusu has given me, I cannot pass up this opportunity to give something back. And I'm the kind of person, I believe in giving back what other people or what other institutions have given back to me. So I could not stand the alternative, which is turning down this opportunity to work not just with a very dear friend of mine, but also to try and contribute to this amazing place that we now all call home. So I've bit the bullet on that, in the sense that I've decided that even if it means sleepless nights, perpetual stress, right, I would do it, because I think end of the day, I owe that much to Tembusu, after all it's done for me in the last 2 years, right? So, like, I already stated a few ideas in my rally speech, but I have several more. And as I would like to remind all of you, I'm running with a team of 11. So, me and Angus, when we sat down with them, we did not pick people who were fine with just maintaining the status quo. We understand the status quo is good. It's at a place where we are all proud of it. But the CSC cannot stagnate now. We cannot think of just continuing on with the old ways, but we should seek to preserve what's best and try and improve. So there are a lot of new ideas already within the CSC, and you will hear from the EXCO later and the rest of my team on Thursday. But some of the ideas that I would definitely like to bring about, right? The support for IGs, which I mentioned in my rally speech. I think Tembusu, over the course of 2 years, was a great place for the birth of lots of IGs. Unfortunately, along the way, it also became a graveyard for quite a few IGs as well. And I think that's rather unfortunate. I don't think it's because it was intentional. We are, after all, students, and we have different priorities every single day. So some IGs fall by the wayside. But I think the CSC should shoulder that additional responsibility, in the sense that if we realize certain IGs, attendances are decreasing, suddenly no projects are being planned, so on and so forth, we should take the initiative to approach the IG heads and whoever else is involved, try and see what we can do. Another thing also is that me and my financial secretary, Michelle, we talked about the transparency with regards to funds and budgets. We strongly feel that one AGM, for example, at the end of every year, perhaps is not enough, because there's a significant amount of funds being channeled through the CSC, and I think it is the right of every single Tembusu student to know how that functions. Obviously, the college body by themselves, the professors, they allocate funds, but they have the experience and they have the rights to do it. So perhaps we are not in the best position to question them. But if students are allowed to handle this responsibility, we should have the basic task of at least letting you know on a regular basis what is happening. So that is something I would definitely like to do. Jensen, thanks for touching on the experience part. I think experience plays a big role in this job, because I respect the fact that there are various opinions in Tembusu. I understand that the year 3s have very different expectations from what the year 2s want out of Tembusu. And in turn, I also understand that the year 1s have very different expectations of what they want out of Tembusu. Which is why when me and Angus, we set out our team, we got so many year 1s on board. Because we want their voices heard. If not, we become irrelevant. We are only working for the seniors, we're not working for the freshies. There's a reason for everything that we've done up to this point. And that only comes about because of experience, because I understood that if you alienate anybody from your decision-making nexus, you're committing, suicide. There's no point in what you're doing. My leadership experiences, I was debate president in AJC. I got involved in Tembusu College debates for the last year or so. And also I was in Tancho House captain. I've learned quite a few things over the years from these things. And all of them obviously contribute to why I said yes to Angus at the end of the day. I wouldn't have taken the job if I felt I wasn't capable, right? So I learned from these experiences, and a few of the things I've learned, right, is the constant need for new ideas amongst the leaders. If the two leaders at the top of an organization, we slack, we decide we're having a bad day, we're not going to show up for meetings, we lack energy, then we fail the whole organization by itself. We have to also manage the ambitions of everyone in the team, which is, I think, a key role which I see myself playing. Because as much as Angus will also try and do his best, I think considering it's a team of 11, I cannot expect him or the General Secretary to bear that burden. I have to step up and manage ambitions and manage expectations and manage any possible conflicts in the team as well. And I think the most important thing that I've learned is that I'm not the kind of person that bears grudges when disagreements turn up. Or, for example, I don't like arguing for the sake of arguing. I only argue or play devil's advocate if it will improve a situation. Because end of the day, my thinking is, if I fail, if I don't turn up for a meeting, if I slack, if I don't plan my timetable properly, if I don't put in my 100%, you suffer. And you have put your trust in me. So that's the basic, at least the very basic responsibility that I should have with regards to you. I'm not going today to attack Jensen or say anything whatsoever at what makes me better than him. What I will do throughout the whole thing is, I hope you understand, is I will tell you why you should vote for me. I'm not going to tell you why you should not vote for him. I'm not in this election for this sort of thing. You know, we are a student body. That's all we are. We're not running for political office, okay? We're a student body. So all I'm going to do today is, I hope you respect my opinion on this, is I'm just going to tell you why you should vote for me, and I hope you understand that. Thank you.
Right, Tembusu, we have heard from your candidates. Right now, we're going to move on to the debate segment of this rally. For the candidates, what will happen now is that we'll pose some very general questions to both of these candidates, and both of them will answer the questions. And at any point of the opposing candidate's answer, you feel that you want to question why he thinks this way, or you just want to clarify how is he going to achieve these set of goals or those sets of outcomes, you have the right to raise your hand, just pick up the mic and ask the other candidate. Once again, this is a very friendly, we're all here in the Tembusu in the same family, aiming for the same goals, so let's stick away from personal attacks and shooting down and just being aggressive. We are here to clarify, understand, and help each other out. So, candidates for vice presidency, your first question is, what will be your specific focus throughout your vice presidency, and list some tangible outcomes?
As stated earlier, my post on Facebook, my vision would be to increase student initiative and to increase student ownership of their residency in this place. The CSC is currently consists of 11 people. That's too small to manage all the affairs of the CSC alone. So I'm looking to have these, so if elected, I'm looking to have these 11 people manage teams rather than simply manage projects by themselves. So I'm looking to expand the leadership status and involvement of the student body.
I think, as I already mentioned, the system of, for example, coming up with a concrete way of supporting IGs from the CSC side. So perhaps a method whereby the different directors can follow up with the IGs under them with regards to the progress and how exactly what exactly they plan on doing for the coming year or coming months even. Something else I was also very interested in, and have been interested in for a while, is the state of the dining hall food that we get. And I know this overlaps significantly with what Kabir's directive is, and I will let him to talk slightly more about it later on. But I would like to see is that I understand that when you're cooking for such a large amount of people, there's certain compromises in quality that you inevitably make. But I think perhaps right now the compromise between quantity and quality is more on the side of quantity. And I think more can be done to try and improve the standard of food that we receive. Simple things like giving us a bit more than just lettuce for salads could be, I mean like basically small things that will help improve the dining experience that we get. And I think what I would like to do, first of all, I talked with Kabir about this, and his input on this was to get the tea kitchen and I think my friend Nadine's group, I forgot the name, is Gastronomy Club, right? Gastronomy Club involved with directly not just talking to the kitchen staff, but perhaps also trying to initiate some programs that will lead to fresher produce or some definitely healthier and tastier food in the dining hall. So 2 things out of many. I have more ideas. I'll talk about them later on.
That's very good. All right. I have a second question for both of you. How will you empower and lead your team and the residences of this college? How will you lead and empower your team and the residents of this college?
Yeah, I'll go first on this. I think the spirit within Tembusu, I'll just talk about the residences first, right? I don't plan on leading the students of Tembusu College. I plan on giving them a platform where their ideas can flourish and the system whereby the best can come out of them. The level we are at, we're university students, more or less everyone's almost the same age. We're all intelligent individuals. I don't think they need guidance in that sense. I think they need the proper setup of systems which allows the best of them to come out. So that's what I would do. I'm not going to, no one here wants to be babysitted for anything that's going to happen in Tembusu. With regards to my team, I think when we set up this team, me and Angus, with a very specific purpose, that we can work together well, and also that we can share responsibilities. I think a promise that me and Angus both have made throughout the whole thing to everyone is that we are going to ensure that your workload is not too overbearing, especially to the freshies. Not just your workload, we understood that all of them have very different interests. Alison, our arts director, is in charge of ukulele, right? Yeah, she's in charge of ukulele itself. So, and Kabir, he's part of guitar ensemble. So what I want to be aware of and constantly ensure is that their private interests do not get compromised by the role in the CSC. I think it will be a big letdown if I allow for that. And I'm going to try my best to ensure that their interests flourish even within the corridors of the CSC. Yeah.
Why did you choose vice president instead of president?
I'll go first for this one.
You have the mic, so.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, sorry. Okay, I chose the position of vice president. Okay, let me separate the two first. I believe the president would do more of external affairs, and vice president would look towards the internal management of the team. And that's the role I wanted to fulfill. To manage the team, to provide a sense of accountability to the student body, and to make sure things are running and the system is going. Sorry.
Yeah, well, pretty simple answer to that, I guess, because Angus asked me to be his VP. I mean, I don't know how many of you know me that well, but I don't like backstabbing people and basically turning the whole idea onto themselves. Also, I guess, on a more serious note, I prefer the role of VP because I get to work sort of behind the scenes, and I prefer that sort of role much more than being right up front in the role of CSC. And also I think, in the role of president of CSC, and also I think Angus has a lot more clout and a lot more respect considering the scale of the events he has run throughout Tembusu. So his credentials are obviously far better than mine when it comes to presidency, and I respect him for that. And also I worked with him before when I was under him for LibDub. So I have a very good working relationship with him because he was in charge of LibDub and I was under him, and I think we worked very well. Whatever conflicts, issues we had, we managed to settle it easily enough, and we got the things done. We work as a coherent team, so I'm not really worried whether or not he's president or I'm president. I think as far as we know, we try and do things together for the entire team. So perhaps even during meetings, we take turns to lead. So that's a working relationship I have with Angus, and that's pretty much the reason why I'm vice president, because I accept his leadership role, I respect him, and I think he'll do a better job than me when it comes to that. But obviously, I feel I can do a pretty good job for vice presidency, so do vote for me.
How are you going to conflict between the director's interests and CSC at the same time? So both of you had slightly different answers to that same question. On Nafis' side, he wanted to promote their interests over everything else, and if there were a conflict, yes?
No. I'm not going to promote their interests over the interests of the CSC. I'm trying to say that I would be very deeply ashamed if, as a result of them working in the CSC, their ability to devote any sort of time to their personal interests diminishes. And I think that's unfair. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your life for the CSC. That, I think, is a notion that needs to be questioned, and it's a notion that me and Angus wants to question. Why is that something we accept? We of course understand if you're running for the CSC, you are supposed to prioritize in the sense that certain commitments you have to live up, and all of them will. I'm sure of it. We wouldn't have asked them otherwise. But if we realize, for example, that for 2-3 months, she hasn't done anything ukulele related, we should take up the slack and say, you know what, we will do some of your work, we will clear some of your things, we will help you with your planning, your funding, whatever you need, and you go and pursue your interests. So, that part of your life shouldn't be diminished just because you're in the CSC. I think that would be a real shame if that happens.
Right. We understand the personal management of each of these directors, and we're definitely not going to touch on those because that's a little touchy, not personal management. The question here is that because you're dealing with large amounts of money, and it is basically a limited liability over here, how are you going to ensure that the director's interests do not conflict? What ideas do you have to regulate such that their interests do not conflict in the money-making decisions?
I think, first of all, we'd like to implement a system whereby no one person decides how much funding they can give to any one particular program. So even if, for example, we give the arts director, for example, 5K for the different arts IGs, if she were to fund a substantial amount, say more than $500 or something we would decide, she would have to come to the rest of us to seek approval. Smaller amounts, there's no point with that. I think that's micromanaging, and that'll just hinder people's, the way events work. But for large amounts of money, I think they would need approval from perhaps either the EXCO or the whole of the CSC with a simple majority, or perhaps 7-4 or 8-3. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, but obviously it's a valid concern because I can see where that comes from. If, for example, I'm in debates, he's in guitar ensemble, he's in ukulele. Does that mean these 3 IGs are going to get all the money? Definitely not, and we'll definitely not allow for that. Of course, the other thing is that our plan of making sure finances are more transparent will allow for any sort of complaint that the students might have. Because previously, if you only get financial information every once a year, you will have no idea whether or not IGs are getting funding. So under our plan, it would be more open, and you would have more chances to voice your concerns with regards for how you want finances run.
For me, this is more of a management thing. So I believe that there has to be objective justification when it comes to any of these money-related manners. As much as I would like to give leeway to the various heads of the strategic pillars to decide on such things in terms of IG funding and things, there must be always a certain sense of objective justification as to why things are being spent and why is the budget so big. So ultimately, no matter how biased a person may be, if it can be objectively justified, then I believe the case can be made.
All right, very good. From now, we're going to move on to the third segment of the rally and debate right here. We're going to open the questions up to the floor. Yes.
All right, so I have 2 questions. This is pretty much derived from your speech, Jensen. Okay, and it's open to both of you. Okay, so firstly, you've mentioned that that one of your advantages of being a first year is that you'll be able to continue on any projects left over second, third year. Does that mean that you intend to run for CSC elections again next year and the year after that? Okay. And as a development of this question, what do both of you think about the right of incumbents to rerun CSC elections again? Because to my knowledge, no incumbent of the previous CSC has rerun for elections again. Okay, second question. I like more concrete plans regarding progress and transparency, especially progress. What do you mean by progress? How do you intend to achieve it? Open to both of you.
Okay, actually this is quite a difficult question to answer because depending on what stage the projects are in and depending on how much time and commitment and whether it is still necessary for me to be part of the CSC with regards to that. And okay, with regards to incumbency of CSC, this is my first year here, so I have no idea why there's no incumbent running. Okay, to answer your second question, you asked me about progress and transparency and how I'm going to do these things, right? So at the start of after elections are over, I would like to have all the directors sit down and set goals towards the end, set long-term goals that can go past the first year, because let's admit it, 1 year is a very short period of time to get large projects done. Sure, you can pull off events, but if you're talking about changing the culture here, talking about setting things into motion, it's definitely a project that will take more than 1 year. And this actually ties in with the first question.
The second question on progress.
And as for progress, it's more of like checking on them. This is more towards the micromanagement side. And I believe as the role of vice president is to micromanage to a certain extent.
All right, Nafis, do you have an answer to that?
With regards to the CSC incumbents issues, I'm fine. I mean, if they want to run, then they should run. I think it will be good, number one, if they are in any CSC, because any new CSC, because they have the experience and the know-how. So obviously they can lend a lot to a team in terms of letting them know and getting them settled down into the processes and making things a lot easier. So I mean, I don't know why they're not running, but I hope they do. It'll be good for the culture of the college. I think with regards to your question on long-term plans, so on and so forth. Obviously, if once we get elected and we sit down, we have to set long-term goals for the year and what exactly we want to achieve out of the programs that they're already in the calendar and what we want to add to them. I'm uncomfortable about setting goals which would precede us and would affect the next CSC because I don't think we have the right to tell the next CSC what exactly they should be doing. I think we can talk to them and have a discussion as, this is the direction that we felt was right. Whether or not they feel the same way is of course different, and they may decide to go in an entirely different direction. Also, the situation might change in the sense that there might be a need for a different set of goals after we leave. So we shouldn't burden the next CSC with those sort of repercussions by taking those decisions ourselves. How do you measure progress? I think, I don't think that's necessarily something very difficult. I think we already have a variety of events throughout the Tembusu calendar, not just by IGs, but by the CSC as well, which shows that we have progressed already in that regard. We already have a few systems set up by the current CSC, which will help us along. So once again, that's progress. That's right there for you to see. I think if you have a system set up which allows for more student feedback regarding certain issues, say in a few months' time, that will be a sign of progress if you want. And I think for me, what I would definitely like to see is more accountability, regards not just to funding, but also to what we have achieved in office and what we plan to do every other month. So those two things, I think, those few things would definitely show progress on my part and on the part of my team. Thanks.
Great answers from the candidates. Yes, question.
Now, I have a question for both candidates, but they're different questions. Jensen, okay, first, when you were giving your opening statement, you said you were going to represent the voice of opposition. And yeah, I admire your courage because that's a very difficult position to take. But let's say you get elected. You ran against like a whole group and you'll be like working with Angus. So you just disposed of his VP to be. So how are you going to raise your voice of opposition against a group of 10 people who have a different agenda from you? And Nafis, a question for you is, because you guys are a group of united 11 people, and it's good to see that people who share the same objective, agenda, and friendship running a team. But let's say if one of you screws up, so who's going to be, go play devil's advocate and, discipline or like so-called, manage these kind of conflicts or, like bottlenecks that could arise? Because it's actually, I think we all agree that it's harder to, say things to your friend. So, yeah, would like to hear your views on that.
It doesn't mean that because I'm the 12th person running for 11 seats, it doesn't mean that I will share a very different agenda and that I'll definitely be running against them. I currently represent the only opposition, but that does not mean that I'm an anarchist, and that does not mean that I'm here to create problems for Angus and his team if I'm elected in. I will definitely work together with them, and I will seek their cooperation. If your question is to how am I going to convince the other 10 of them to help me, because definitely if I really do get elected in, and if I do not have the support of the rest of the team, who am I? With regards to that, I can only hope that if elected in that case, because it's the vote of the students, they made the choice, they put me there. I will only hope that the team respects this decision of the student body and that they respect my words and my actions within the council.
Okay, I'm going to respond to this notion of the current party running or some... Apparently we have morphed into some sort of weird PAP, Tembusu, nightmare child apparently. Listen, the reason for setting up a team was very simple. If any of you out there, 10 other friends who you can really work with, and they're all committed and passionate about Tembusu, and all of you would like to serve in the CSC in some way, if you come up with a team, what is wrong with that concept? It is not that because we have 600 people here, right? You cannot have 600 people in our team. We need 11. These are some of the people we approached, and they happen to have said yes. We liked what they brought to the team. That's why we approached them, and they obviously said yes to us. So there is no, in the sense that we didn't think we are better than anyone else. We felt as a team of 11 who understands each other, who understands what each other wants, who are willing to share what work we have, what ideas we have with each other to ensure that, Tembusu gets the best out of all of us. That's the reason why we formed the team. There's no other reason for that. We were hoping for competition. It would make us better because it would force us and it will allow us, and allow all of you to question us more thoroughly, more aggressively, and find out what we really, really want. But this was not a setup to scare him or to scare anyone. In that sense, we feel comfortable with each other, we work well together, and that was simply the reason for it. There's no other like notorious, insidious reason, whatever you're thinking, yeah? Okay, so Deon, your question was who will play devil's advocate and who will manage conflicts? I think me and Angus, considering how many projects and events we've run, we are quite used to managing conflicts. And I think I'm not the kind of person who, me and him, we like to get the work done. So if you understand someone in the team is going to be a blockage and arguing with this person is not going to get anything done, we will discipline that person at a later date, but we're not going to try and have a long and protracted discussion with this person which will put the event or the project at jeopardy. That is not what we do. We will try and finish the task at hand first, no matter what means it takes, and then we'll deal with the discipline issues. End of the day, all of these people in my team are committed. If they understand they're failing, we're going to have to talk to them. So it's not something that I look forward to, but it's going to happen either way, and I'm not shying away from it. And you can ask Deon, I don't know how many times we have had meetings for debate issues. I'm usually playing devil's advocate anyways. Yeah, I think, and there's a reason for this. It's not because I want to cause disagreements in a team, but I don't think you can run any event or project without having a clear understanding of what some of the shortcomings are. If 11 people sit down and they're constantly agreeing with each other and never seeing the flaws in their plan, that is the worst situation you can possibly have. Because you cannot in any way have some sort of prediction of what kind of problems you have. And everything's going to basically throw you off. So who's going to play devil's advocate? I think me, Angus, Muazzam, or General Secretary, all three of us will do it. Because it's going to be for the betterment of the team. And we put together a team of people who are not going to get pissed off every time we come up with those sort of arguments. Because we understand that, end of the day, if we listen to these arguments and we take note of them, whatever events, projects we have and plans for Tembusu will run a lot better. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. We have the next question.
All right, so the issue of team seems to be cropping up right now. Do you think that this election represents a landmark of sorts in Tembusu College, and from now on in all subsequent CSCs, that you need to run in a team to have a reasonable chance of success? And do you think that Tembusu College, secondly, will be better off for this?
I don't think there's a need to run with teams. It's more like this is an idea that cropped up amongst friends and we decided to go through with it. That was all. It wasn't like we felt, oh, this is now the time has come for 11 people to run together. It was not that sort of notion ever. I hope we haven't set a precedent for people to feel the need to run with 11, because that's very detrimental to what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen, because I think if end of the day, if you're passionate and committed enough to serving to Tembusu in the CSC, you would step forward anyways. So I don't think that's a problem. Yeah.
Okay, for me, I see it more of a means to an end. So running as a team, running in terms of individually, whatever it is, I'm very sure that all 12 of us who are running, all hoping for a better and all want to change things for the better. So if you ask me, it doesn't really matter whether you run in large groups of 11, small groups of 3, or individually. So as you run and you're passionate about what you do, that's the most important.
We're going to move on to the next segment and final segment of tonight, and probably the most exciting segment. We're not going to forget the 3 other handsome gentlemen and one pretty lady at the corner of this room. So now let us invite and introduce the other members who are running for the 4th CSC. Please introduce yourself and give your opening statements. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angus, and I'm running for the president of CSC. And I think at the start, one of the reasons why we put together a team of 11 is, well, it was not an idea of like, we're all friends, let's run together and let's, happy-go-lucky, or we're just friends. But many of them here, right, are year ones who I've never worked with before. But on interviewing each and every one of them with Nafis, right, we look at their visions and their goals, and most importantly, we looked at their hearts. And collectively, we decided that these are the people that we can work well with, and we would most likely want to run together. Now, I have no doubt that each one of them has the capability and the ability to carry out whatever they put their minds to. So my job as president, the main thing that I see myself doing is to be the cohesive social glue among the team, to make sure that each of us help one another, everyone in the team, and at the end of 1 year, we're all better people for it and better friends for it.
Hi everyone, I'm Kabir. I'll be running for the position of Welfare Secretary. So why am I running for this CSC? So initially Angus pitched the idea to me about running for CSC as a team of 11 individuals. And at that time he already got Nafis interested in the idea. So what captured my interest was that I've worked with Angus and Nafis, both of them, quite extensively. With Nafis, I've been in Housecom with him, Tancho House Committee. I've worked with Angus for Guitar Ensemble. And I've seen the way they work and the way they lead. And I found it quite inspiring the way they work. And I think that under the two of them, this CSC would go to great lengths. And for me, the opportunity to work with the two of them and with the other candidates is something that I would want, okay? Because I believe Tembusu has been very good to us. And to me, this is the best way for me to give back to the college. So that's why I'm running for the CSC. And why for the position of Welfare Secretary? Well, when I initially came on board, I didn't have a clear idea of which position I'll be running for. And it only occurred to me that I had to make a decision about that when we started looking for the other candidates. So at first, I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do yet. So I gave the other candidates the opportunity to state what they're interested in, especially the year ones, because they come in with greater, stronger interest in specific fields. So we have our directors doing that. And why Welfare Secretary is because I understand that this is one of the biggest concerns students have in Tembusu College when it comes to especially things like food in the dining hall food. So I think that I have the capability and the experience to tackle this, to take on this task. You know, things like in NS, I was a company commander in the police force, and one of my main duties was to take care of the welfare of my trainees, which was I had about 550 trainees under me. So taking care of the welfare of that many people, I have experience doing that. So I think for me, taking this task, I can do it effectively. I can do it pretty well. So yeah, I guess that's why I'm running for the position.
Hello. Hi, I'm Michelle. My official name is Hwayeon. I'm running for Finance Secretary. So, why did I decide to join the CSC? It's because I love Tembusu, and the main reason is because it is a college where we can learn together. So I was thinking of ways how I can contribute to this college. And I realized that being a finance secretary can be a good way, a good start. And being an accountancy student, I thought I can contribute and apply my learning in college, university to my position. That's why I decided to run for this position. And why Team Angus? Well, I felt that CSC, one of the important things about being effective CSC is teamwork. The members have to trust each other, and conflict has to be well managed. I felt that when I observed Angus and the other teammates, they have already strong trust with each other. So I thought that I would work very well, effectively with this team. Yeah, that's why I joined this team, and I think that we can do a very good job together. We have a common goal, and we have a very strong teamwork. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Muazzam Ali Khan, and I'm running for your General Secretary. So, basically, when I entered this college, I felt very well welcomed. It really felt as if I was at another home again. And it wasn't the pseudo-hostel types where we always have these hostels where it's just a place to live, to reside in, go to school, come back, study, and don't care about the rest. But over here, it's a totally different feeling. The college gives you more opportunities. It gives you so many things that you just feel indebted to this college. And this is my way of saying that thank you very much, Tembusu, for all that you've done, even though it's only been about 3 to 4 weeks. But I feel indebted enough to run for this college student committee, and I'm confident in my abilities to give back to this college as much as it does give to me as well. Why General Secretary? I'm running for General Secretary because I believe that I can be the administrative backbone of this society, where I can ensure that all our administrative details are looked after, and where all of these are put in this position that where it all works out well. That, along with the fact that I am to help Angus and Nafis in managing the team, in managing the social conflicts, if they arise, they probably will, and to do all else that is necessary for this position and all that is required within my capacity as General Secretary. Also, I believe that the CSC in general as a unit needs to be very much more accountable to the college community, because you vote us in. You have the right and you deserve to know what happens, which is why we, as per my previous discussions with Nafis and Angus, we came up with this idea of a Meet the CSC session, which we shall bring in once we get elected, which shall be more or less once a monthly feedback session where we will, exactly like this, in this setting, be accountable for all of our actions, for all the things that we do, and we would source for more feedback from everybody else. And with that, I think I should make a decent General Secretary, hopefully. So yes, you should vote me in. Thank you.
All right, well done. We now have questions from the floor, but once again, be reminded, no personal attacks, no outrageous questions, nothing related to sex, politics, ethics, money, or morals. Just questions to the people, to your candidates. And again, it is not Team Angus, it is not just Jensen, but everyone, take them as an individual candidate. Do we have any questions from the floor? All right, we have a question to the back there.
Hi, I'm Mono. What do you know about your job scope from the Constitution? Okay, and second part is something else which it's going to be a bit long. But all the promises you have made here and from the videos outside is everything which people promised last year. It's the same thing. There's no difference. So asking you what else you will bring to the table will be a bit dumb, because you're going to say the same thing that people have been saying since last year, which left a bitter taste in some of our mouths because of various reasons. So I would like to ask you, give me some concrete and tangible ideas. Concrete, don't tell me like, oh, I want change. What the hell do you mean by I want change? Okay? Give me some concrete ideas. So it's two parts.
Question 1A. What do you know of your job from the Constitution? 1B. What skill sets do you already possess that will enable you to shine in that position? Okay, let's start.
Well, since I have the mic, I guess I'll start. According to the Constitution, my job as General Secretary entails me being the administrative backbone of this college committee. But I don't think that it stops there. It is also for me to do as much as I can, other than what is put down in paper, in pen and paper, to help the Vice President, to help the President, to help the committee in general, to do all that I can, all that is to the best of my abilities. Anyhow, for the qualities, I believe my experiences that I've had so far have enabled me sufficiently to do a lot of things. Where I was a section commander in the Singapore Civil Defense Force, where I was in charge of a lot of firefighters, where I was supposed to go to the actual fire cases to take down the fires and to come back and write reports for them. Not only was I limited to that, I was also supposed to be the administrative in charge of my whole fire station. So basically that entailed me writing all the reports and doing all of that mundane work, which it was in NS especially. And so I believe I am able to do that. And given the fact that it was a leadership position where I was accountable for my men, for their bearings, for their work, for all that they do, for all that they are, I believe I should manage fine. And for the second question, I've already introduced my plan, which is to create a Meet the CSC session, which should happen once a month, and that should make us accountable to the entire student committee, where everybody can ask us whatever they want, and basically Yeah, you can ask us whatever you want, and we will be there to reply on.
So the job scope of secretary, finance secretary, I talked to Park about this matter before because I was really interested in what kind of job scope he has. So I concluded after discussion with him that finance secretary basically has to manage all the funds that goes to all the student organized activities, be it interest groups or any other things. So when students ask for certain funds, then I will get back to them whether they can get the amount of funds that they want or they have to compromise. Then I have to negotiate with them on the amount of funds that we can provide. And qualities that I should have. I think the most important quality that I should have is the objectivity. Because if I'm close to a certain director or certain leader of IG, I may end up, if I end up giving more funds to him because I'm closer, they can create really a great unhappiness to other IG groups and students. So I have to stand very neutral and objective when it comes to giving funds. I have to look at only the data and not my relationship with other students in college. So one tangible idea that I have is to create some kind of a feedback system where if certain students feel that they're not receiving enough funds currently, they can write to me, and then we, together with other teammates, we will look through again the budget plan and talk to the person and decide on our decision, the amount of funds. Yeah, that's the one concrete idea that I have right now. But we'll continue to develop. Thank you.
All right. So what I understand the welfare secretary has to do, basically my roles entail looking after it's quite obvious, looking after the welfare, managing the welfare of the students here, from things ranging from the dining hall to facilities to other aspects of welfare like the general well-being of the students. And on top of that, I should continuously receive feedback from the students and continuously interact with the students to see how we can improve on managing their welfare. So I think those are my main roles as a welfare secretary. And as far as my qualities go, like I mentioned earlier, I do have experience doing something like this, of this scale. You know, I'll mention it again, I was a company commander in the Singapore Police Force for my NS, and I had 550 trainees under me. I had to manage their discipline matters, administrative, training matters, but most importantly, their welfare matters. Because obviously welfare has to come first before all of these other aspects. So, on top of that, I was in HTA for about a year, and they have we have one cookhouse. Okay, I'll just try to draw the similarity between what I have done and what I expected to do here. So we have one cookhouse that caters to over 1,500 officers every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So my job is to basically ensure that they are providing our officers with the right quality, the right quantity of food. And that calls for regular meetings with the caterers, regular meetings with the cookhouse managers. So I have experience interacting with people of this area. So I believe that I'm well capable of doing this job. So on top of dining hall facilities, obviously that will strike you as a priority because that's the main concern students here have in terms of welfare, is the quality, the quantity of the dining hall food. But on top of that, I mentioned this in my speech as well. I think that's a lot more that can be done for the students here in terms of welfare, because welfare covers more than just food. It covers things like their social welfare, their psychological welfare, and as students you have to manage, you have to have a way to help students manage their time, manage their stress as students. So I think there's a lot of ways we can do that. We can set up a lot of support groups where, I don't know, juniors can interact with their seniors. Obviously seniors have been here longer than them, they can help them cope with schoolwork and stuff like that. So there are a lot of ways we can do this, and we'll be looking into this, of course, obviously. And there are a lot of small ideas that we have that, although they are small, they do contribute and they do improve the general welfare of the students here. Like, I'll just give you one example. Earlier today, I was walking out with Angus. We were taking a walk outside, and then it was raining. So I asked Jeremy, who was in the suite, whether we had an umbrella in our suite. So I borrowed the umbrella that we had, and then we went down. And then when I was walking with Angus, an idea just hit. Okay. So when I was in JC, in Temasek JC, they had this thing where the student councillors, every morning, if it rains in the morning, they will have the councillors come out and shuttle students from the bus stops. I mean, okay, just say the idea. Shuttle students from the bus stops or from the driveways to their classrooms with umbrellas. So that's something, although it may seem small, it does make a difference to the students here. It's something that they do appreciate a lot. And it's something that improves the general welfare of the students here. So there are a lot of little ideas here that we shouldn't overlook. And I think a lot of initiatives that we can initiate, or students here can students outside the CSC can initiate, and we should give them the fullest support when it comes to things like this. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I haven't read that specific section about the president, but I'll tell you what I've done instead. I've spoken extensively with the current president and Harshal, my good friend. He was the first CSC president, on what this role entails before I even stepped up to the position. So I know perfectly well the troubles that they have gone through, and I've seek both their advices from Jeremy and Harshal as to the problems that they have faced and what exactly is expected of this job scope. And I'm really grateful to Jeremy and Harshal, who is not here today, for lending me so much advice. Now, I know from the two of them that there's going to be a lot of external liaising with, especially with external bodies like NUSU, and a lot of it is going to be doing the talking between the professors, the college master especially, and within the team. And these are the kind of things that I've done. I've talked to the two presidents, and instead of just reading the constitution, so I know, like, I have first-hand experience from these two, and I've taken their advice. Now, with regards to the team, right? How do I see my role as president? I think that was Tzuwen's question, right? So, other than just being an external liaison, I see my role, right, as allowing each one of the candidates under the team, right, to shine to their full potentials. I have no doubt that each one of them will carry out events and be able to do what they set their minds to. Now, my job, right, is to make sure that they are all able to carry out whatever they want set their minds to, and come to a common consensus on the overall general direction. And I think we've all talked about this, right? Two of the things that we want to instill in the team and in the college is this idea of collaborations and connections. So with all our events and all the initiatives that we're going to do, and we have had a lot of ideas which we will continue talking about. Later on, I will give two of my own ideas since you want something tangible. But with all of these ideas and initiatives, right, we want it to be more process-oriented and be more inclusive and connect the whole of the college together. So, for example, I think one of the ideas that we had, right, was to have another lip dub, which is to the theme of, like, thrift shop. But this time, right, the difference would be, right, it's very process-oriented. So even at the planning stage, right, there's inclusion of everyone, and the planning stage is not just done by a committee. So there's connection amongst the whole community, and that's what we want to instill in the college. There's unity and there's more people involved. Now, something else more tangible, which I personally would like to see, and this is thinking a bit further on, right? But for the next elections, right, I would really like to see competitive elections. So once we have stepped up, right, I want to be able to instill that desire to serve the college, and I have no doubts that we will set a bar that we can all be proud of, right, through the events that we've done and through the help that we've had for each other. And so we want right from the get-go, we want to encourage people to run for CSC, for the next CSC, be in teams, be in individuals. But at the end, right, with all the projects that we've done, we want there to be a reignited sense that, you know, this college is worth something, and you should stand up and you should fight for it, and you should be able to, it should be prestigious to serve in the CSC, right? I mean, that's why we're all, I mean, it's not just, I'm not saying we're doing it for the prestige, right? But there should be a sense of pride when we are serving in the CSC, all right? So, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I mean, I'm not going to complain that there's no contest. I'm pretty happy that there's no contest. But on the other hand, right, I would really love for the next elections, right, for every position to be well contested. And through our events, I hope that we can reignite that spirit that we have. Yeah, I covered the tangible aspects, right? Yeah. Nafis?
As to what I think the role of the vice presidency is, as opposed to the president dealing with external liars, I believe vice presidency is about internal management. So vice presidency will be working together with the team managing the CSC itself and be managing and be overlooking the entire of the Tembusu College through the 3 directors. As to what qualities I have that would help me in this role, I believe will be my ability to look at the big picture and be very objective about things. I've been a gamer quite competitively at a relatively high level, so I've played in certain situations that are under extreme pressure, and that I believe that such things can carry forward and help me make decisions. As to the tangible things, I look toward the restructuring of the way IGs are being done right now. It's about having them, structuring them to be more value added towards the college. So, like they suggested to have meet the CSC sessions, I would like to have more sessions together with the heads of the IGs to make sure that they keep on track with the initial goals that they set out, and that they make sure that they keep to their goals of how are they being a value added system to the college.
Okay, so the first one, do I know what exactly my role is with regards to the Constitution? No, I have not read that part. But I've done exactly the same thing that Angus have done. I've talked to Jared before, like just last week, right after the briefings for the electoral candidates, because I really wanted to know what sort of problems he's been facing and what kind of job scope he has. And I must say, Jared, thank you. You're very honest, very open with me, and you told me a lot of things which is very insightful. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. But also, thank you for pointing something out, because I believe as a team we have to look at the Constitution and find out what exactly our role is. Because there's a reason for that role. That is the basic, in the sense that at least that's what the college have decided is our basic role. So we have to be aware of it, and thanks for making us be aware of the fact, and we'll definitely follow up on that and read up and try and find out what exactly it is. But either way, I don't think our roles would be defined by that. We're looking to expand beyond it. One of the things that we talked about exclusively to all of the team members that are here is that you have to be willing to work with other people in the CSC for events or projects that you're running. Because something you realize is that all of them have very varied interest in other areas. Johandi, who is running for community outreach and student development, was very much interested in welfare. And before we gave Kabir this responsibility, we told him you have to be prepared to work with him. And if you're not prepared, you're not going to be a welfare secretary. So with regards to the Constitution, we will respect what it says and we'll definitely live up to it. But also we will allow other people within the CSC to take up their role if they feel interested, and also help them understand what exactly their role means. With regards to the tangibles, right, I think, first of all, I guess that question would hit me sort of hard, because when I talk about support for IGs, what exactly do you mean? You know, I think I would like, for example, if like, for my personal goals, right, I can, if anyone's interested in how it's been progressing, I'll obviously make it known to you. So if I can take a stock of how many IGs there are right now, and say in a year's time or in a few months' time, I give you a heads up how many IGs have closed down, that could be a pretty good marker as to whether or not I've actually succeeded in doing this project which I want to do in itself. The other thing I would like to see also, which I've talked with Misha also talked about, is the transparency for funds. And we would like to see a more regular update for funds to the student body. So that's a tangible we're definitely looking into. Accountability, basically, in terms of not just our actions, but also how we're spending the funds and what we are doing. So those are two tangibles which I would very much like to see happen, and which would be a marker for you to judge my success by. And please, like with regards to Monil's question, it may seem hard-hitting and almost very difficult, but that's the kind of questions you need to ask any student body to keep them on their toes and to make sure they're performing at least the minimum expectations that you have of them. So please do ask those kind of questions and like come up to us and ask us what we have done. Because if we have taken the responsibility of putting our nominations forward for this role, we have the minimum responsibility of responding to any queries that you have, no matter what they are. Thanks for the question, by the way. Thanks.
Thank you, candidates. More questions from the floor?
Notion of change has been brought up quite a bit over the debates and in the session just now. So, if there is one thing that you guys want to change in Tembusu, what will it be? And what can you do to change it within your specified roles if elected? I know the year ones probably don't have as much experience being here only for like 3-4 weeks, so I'm okay if like the seniors can respond first.
Is your question for specific candidates or across the board?
All 6.
All 6, all right.
Yeah, okay, I think we discussed this amongst ourselves as well. What do we exactly want to change? But I have to say something before we talk about the notion of change. Right. Tembusu already has a very rich culture, and there's a lot of initiatives that are already taking place. I think what's more important right now, right, is that we stabilize all these various initiatives with tangible result initiatives that like Nafis and my other team members have already spelled out. All right, I mean, it's not just all about change. Now, having said that, right, there are other initiatives, but we see it more from a point of value adding to what is already in Tembusu and all the initiatives. So in terms of one specific change, right, I mean, I wouldn't focus so much on that, right? But for me personally, right, I would like to, through our events, through these process-oriented events that we all would do together, right, I want to see like the spirit of Tembusu really ignite throughout the year that we serve, and next elections, right, there should be a lot more people running for elections. And so in terms of that change, yeah. But for me, I'm focused more on stabilizing everything.
I think Angus pretty much covered what the few of us have to say with regards to making a change in Tembusu. I mean, we have a lot of traditions here, we have a lot of culture, a lot of traditions here, which we want to preserve because it's good for the college and it's something that we want to continue living, as in we want these traditions to continue living. So it's more of how do we value add to these traditions, how do we value add to the IGs that we already have. Of course, we will support any new IGs that are coming up. Anyone who's interested in setting up an IG should approach us and should pursue their interest in whatever they're interested in. So it's not so much what we want to change in the college. There's nothing that we want to change, but more of how can we make what we already have even better. So that's the common vision that the few of us have, the myself and the rest of my candidates have. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Specifically, what is one thing you want to make better in Tembusu?
Okay, I'll talk about the IGs. Okay, we have a lot of great IGs here. We have things like the one we recently set up, Guitar Ensemble, Captain's Ball. We have that recently set up, and we have a lot of IGs that have been here for a while. Things like Frisbee, Tembusu Barefoots. Okay. So what I would like to see is for these IGs to have more sort of collaborations with other IGs, or to have the opportunity to have larger events, if you get what I mean. I don't know. I mean, if you look at the performing arts IGs, we want to give them the opportunity to hold performances, to take part in larger performances, things like that, which can be done and which is what we are driving for.
Okay, what I want to change? I want especially interest groups to be more sustainable in the long run. Because what I noticed is that after these leaders of the IG graduate, what will happen to the groups? They will be almost inactive. And then what happened to the funds that we gave them? So what I want to change is that we want to enforce more responsibility to the IGs and the subsequent successors of the IG, I hope that they will have more response. They will feel more responsible about the groups, so that our funds will not go to waste. So what I want to do is to actually talk to a lot of different IGs, and if I would just check through their records and activity record to see if they have been inactive for a very long time, then I would like to talk to the person in charge and see if they're going to continue their group or they're going to terminate it, so that our funds can be put in a better use. That's my plan.
Well, as my team has already mentioned, change is not the word that we're after right now. Change in general has a very negative connotation where it means something like you need to scrap something away to pave way for something newer. However, as we've already mentioned, we're trying to value add. And what I believe is within my capacity to value add would be the accountability that we have as the student committee to all the residents and the students of this college. And to do that, as I've already insisted on the Meet the CSC session, so that's what I plan to do for that, and that's how I will, I believe, value add to this organization and to Tembusu as a whole.
I'll try not to sound too repetitive again, because I think I've spoken quite tangibly in terms of what aims I want. So maybe just like a brief overview. Change, I would like to see a bit more sustainability for the IGs, but not just with regards to finances, to really keep the interest growing. So other change also, perhaps a new one which I think I haven't spoken, is that I would like the CSC to help out individual Tembusians to come up with projects which they would like to run. So like, by that I mean not just asking them come up with a proposal and then we will give you the funds and we'll negotiate. I think we can help in the planning stage as well, to try and help, to try and ease the process, because I think otherwise it can be very daunting if we tell you, oh, we have a project, come up with a concrete proposal and get back to us. I think that's a big task for anyone to achieve. So I think that's a change I would like to see, a CSC taking a slightly more proactive role in making individual Tembusu students' projects or events a reality. So we not just help, not just financially, but we help them in the planning stage and definitely in the execution stage as well. So we are there physically on the day itself to help them out.
What change I would like to see is increased student involvement within the community of Tembusu itself. It's like what Angus said currently. I don't know, but I feel that there's a certain sense of apathy towards the affairs of the college. So I would hope that if I could bring about a change, this would be the one thing I'd like to tackle, to increase student involvement within the affairs of the college.
Okay, thank you, candidates. I believe you had a question from the back just now. Yes.
Firstly, what do you think of the current scenario right now? Right, if you are taking a look at the audience, what do you think about this? Do you think it's good enough? If not, right, what concrete or tangible steps can you take, right, to resolve this situation? So I mean, I'm sure as a CSC, you want to see people who are very involved in CSC politics and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So what are you going to do as a team to attain that goal?
Okay. Here's the thing. My philosophy in a lot of things I do is that I don't like forcing people to take an interest in things they're not interested in, right? But with regards to the attendance here, yeah, I mean, I would definitely love it if more people come down. I think the first step with regards to that concern is trying to find out why exactly they didn't turn up. It's been going on for quite a while, and there was a lot more people just now initially for the VP debate.
Sorry, so actually my question is, so what, based on your knowledge, what do you think is the reason that they are not here? Yeah. And how are you going to solve that? Yeah.
Listen, I think perhaps slightly more needs to be done in terms of we need to make students aware of what the CSC does. I think publicity on that part perhaps needs to be improved on. Like, the CSC has some very important real responsibilities, but I don't think that's necessarily talked about amongst the general student population to the extent where people would necessarily step up and serve. Yeah? But there are a number of other reasons you can think of. People do have work and people do have other responsibilities and things like that. So that's, at the end of the day, their own personal purview. I think what we can do, the best we can do, I think anything more with that would probably amount to intimidation almost, would be trying to talk to people about what the CSC is doing and whether or not, they're interested in and things like that. Part of the reason maybe could be just that, it's only the VP position that's being contested. I'm sure if the other positions were contested, more and more people would have definitely turned up. You only have one position contested that might have affected people's view on whether or not they should turn up. Everything else has been decided anyways. So,
sorry, so the question is maybe for the next guy, right? How are you going to ensure maybe like a more stable structure? Like how are you going to ensure that people are going to be more interested in taking part in elections? Yeah.
All right, since he asked the question for the first three, we're going to give priority to the candidates for presidency and the two candidates for vice presidency. If, however, the candidate does not want to answer the question, he may pass the question down to any other candidates in the room.
No, Daniel, I think you raised a really great question, right? And honestly, right, I think the answer to that question, right, is that you really need to have a very personal touch, right? You can put in all the processes in place, and I'm pretty sure my team is more than capable of putting the processes in place, right? But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about that personal touch, right? Last week on Friday, I think you all know David, Rachel, Jia Rong, and one other candidate. It was a Tembusu team who were running for NUSPA, right? And they asked us to go down, right? Ask our friends from the college, right? But what happens, right, that we all remain politically apathetic, even though David and Rachel put like really a lot of effort, and there was a very big political game going on in NUSPA, all right? And the next day, right, when I came out to the breakfast table, right, it was not a lot of people who were talking about it, right, because it was very impersonal. But what we did actually, right, I'm very happy that some of my team members, I think Kabir came down, Josephine came down, all right, but what we did, right, was we went out for breakfast, we met the Tembusu team who was running for NUSPA. NUSPA is NUS Political Association. And just at that breakfast alone, right, the three of us, we explained to the people in the dining hall what was going on, right? And we said, let's meet down here in the lobby at 9:45. Was it 9:45? Right? Kabir had tuition, right? He had to go for it, but I think he was a bit late, right? And we managed to pull 25 people just in that half an hour from the dining hall. It's really a personal process that starts off with the team. There's no doubt that the processes and the administrative bureaucracies will be in place, and I'm very capable. I'm very confident of my team to that we put in place a team of very capable people. But not only are they capable, they are very personal people, right? And I have absolute confidence in every one of them, right, to bring that personal touch to Tembusu, and it just starts with us. If we can tell people what we are doing and inspire them and instill that sense of let's not be apathetic, right? We got a Tembusu team running for NUSPA, right? Drop what you have, right? And Kabir, you did, but he had to leave early because he was really late. But I'm really grateful that you came down, right? Josephine, you were there as well. I think you also had something. But like the point is, right, that we cannot just look at processes. Processes only take you so far, right? But we have to add in that personal touch. And it's that personal touch that will ignite like the fire within Tembusu, and that is what we're trying to achieve. We are capable of the processes. Let's just add that personal touch.
In terms of political apathy and how do we deal with this and how to make people interested in this is a very tough question because it's like asking us, are we able to read the minds of people? But if you have to look at this in terms of what do we know and what do we not know, perhaps it could be the current state of the CSC that people do not feel the pride of being part of the CSC. It could also be the fact that there's only one contested position for today, a lack of opposition that could result in the turnout for today. As to what could make people want to run for this place more, this I think runs in line with why am I still here, why am I running against, and why am I still contesting this seat for vice president is because I fight for what I believe in, and I believe that there must be a need to instill this sense of making people believe that they want to change things for the better.
I think that's what everybody is saying. So my question is, we all know there are multifaceted factors that leads to the lack of people in this room right now. But what I'm saying is, what is the important factor that you think is that matters most, and how are you going to change that? Just one factor. I'm not saying that you have to cover everything. Yeah. Sorry, I don't think you answered my question. Yeah.
Okay, so how to answer it? To answer your question, we have to make the CSC look like we are really championing the people of Tembusu.
Just to, I guess Deon mentioned earlier who's going to play devil advocates in our team. I'll do it now. Okay, I just want to show you how exactly we work. It is there was a session which Jeremy set up earlier this year for Open Day about what kind of students we want to attract, and I think a lot of the IG heads came down, the house captains came down, quite a few students came down. And a lot of ideas being thrown around, what kind of characteristics we wanted, so all sorts of we wanted like very smart people, innovative, blah blah blah. And Dr. Connors said that we should be very careful about what kind of things, what kind of qualities we want, because you don't want to pigeonhole people into expectations which you have of them. It's a very dangerous road to go down. Because it's perfectly fine for some people to say, I just want to stay in Tembusu and study and once in a while come down and interact with other people. That is their choice, right? So I think it is something we have to keep in mind before we go down that path of really promoting and perhaps even pushing the responsibility of the CSC on other people, because it's a very big responsibility. So it's something we should take note when we talk about it. It's not just a simple matter of, for example, going down to a simple elections. You are doing a lot for a year. So we have perhaps to communicate that better and also try and look for really passionate individuals to talk to about it, rather than perhaps just a general populace. Because it's, let's face it, it's very daunting for quite a few people.
So what do you know about the constitution, right, that ensures, what constitution or maybe like structure that ensures that if, let's say, a member in the EXCO, right, decides to cheat and not commit anything to the position. So what do you know about structures in the constitution that prevents that? Yeah, and if there's no such thing, right, how do you as a team, right, ensure that there's nobody in your team, right, that continues to there's nobody in your team that do not fail to commit in your team? Yeah, because I'm sure you all know that right now we are all voting for all of you, and there's only a VP contestation, so no matter what, all of you are getting in. But the thing is how we as a student body, right, I'm sure that you are going to do your work. Yeah, so that's two parts of the question. Yeah, just make a very quick answer.
Sorry, but I don't think I can answer that question because I have not done enough research about that. So I will try to answer that, okay?
Thank you for the honesty. So let's move on to the second part. So
second
how
part
are you
was
going to
about
prevent that?
how I'm going to prevent. Well, how can you prevent? We should talk about this together. Well,
No, I think there are some measures like AGM, EAGM. There's the vote of no confidence. But I think on a personal note, right, like as leader and vice leader, I think we have very high standards of what we expect from our team. And although we are a jovial bunch, we keep playing. And I think we discussed about this. We have to have a timeout head because sometimes we laugh quite a bit. But even though we have a very good working relationship and we are playful, we expect very high standards from each other. And personally, if one of my team members does not perform, being asked to leave the CSC would definitely be on the plate. And I hope that I would do it before the population of Tembusu does it, right? So while I respect each and every one of you, at the same time, I do expect standards from each and every one of you as well. So I would definitely be one of the checks and balances.
And I don't think there's any room in the Constitution to try and stop people from not working. That's going to come about because of personal inability. End of the day, if something like that happens, we'll try and give the person a second chance. We're not Donald Trump here on the Apprentice, right? We're not going to fire people because they make one mistake. That's not kind of role we see ourselves in. But obviously, if a person is repeatedly failing and not living up to expectations, that person would have to leave. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of Tembusu and CSC, we have one last question.
My question is just directed to Kabir. Yep. I heard you mention a lot of the IGs and what you want to do welfare. However, I think one of the key aspects of a welfare secretary, and especially the CSC, must note is your relationship with the house system. Yeah. You as a welfare secretary will be working with them. I would like to know what are your plans in terms of working with the houses in the coming year.
So first of all, I understand there's been a review. There's been a review of the current of the old house point system, how they give out points and how they award directors' cup to the houses. Okay, and I understand there's a meeting of sort this coming Wednesday. Oh, sorry, not this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday on the 11th, for the representatives for each house to discuss with the professors at Tembusu about what their houses have contributed and why they deserve the house cup. So I think, okay, I'll touch on the issue of the funds. Okay, the house cup. Before this, we had the winner of the Rector's Cup receiving $1,000 in funds for that house. And I understand that now that's a system that has been abolished, and now we have a system where every house, regardless of whether they win the Rector's Cup or not, they'll be getting a fair share of that amount. So between 5 houses, $200 each house to run their events. So I think that's something that had to be done, and it's good that it's being done now. Okay, because for obvious reasons, let's say you win the House Cup, you win the $1,000, you're in a better position to run. You are more capable to run more events in the subsequent semesters, and then you keep winning the House Cup. So there's a element of unfairness there. So what I hope to see, what I hope to achieve is to have more competitiveness between the houses, which is something that unfortunately is lacking quite a bit. Okay, because I'll be completely honest with you, the houses that I see putting in the most effort in terms of running events, in terms of not just events within the house, but between houses or open to all houses, I only see houses like Tanjo and Kaja doing it. And I'm just being completely honest with you, because this is something that has to change. Okay? So what I would like to do is to have, this is an idea that I had for some time, is to have things like regular meetings with all the heads, all the representatives of the houses, and getting to know what they want to do within their own house, what they want to do with the other houses, or, I don't know, house events, inter-house events, or college-wide events. And it's up to us to encourage them to be competitive. Okay? Because after all, the Rector's Cup is there for a reason. We want houses to compete for it. Okay? And to bear in mind that they are not competing for money anymore, they're competing for just the House Cup. It's something that I think is more inspiring for houses to be more competitive. So I think we have a good system going now, which is something I hope to continue and build upon. So yeah, that's basically what I plan for.
We have come to the end of the 4th CSC Tembusu College Rally Come Q&A and debate. Join us again on Thursday for the continuation of this program. I'm Ulysses Chong, and thank you for coming again tonight. Thank you.